Hey, welcome back to another episode of Blind Girl Experience. Today, we're going to talk about finding strength in vulnerability. Before we go there, I just want to ask, how many, if you're a non-disabled person, how many friends do you have who have a disability? Like just any disability. Like, are you friends? Like, do you call each other? Do you text each other? And that is, of course, if you are not my friend. I'm talking about other people. And before you came to my channel, or before you became my friend, did you have any other person you knew who is a friend to you and they have a disability? Because I think that's where my journey started, whereby when I lost my sight, I could not see a blind person thriving. Like, it was such an impossible thought and an impossible vision, because all the people that I had seen before who were blind were either beggars or, like I said before, musicians. And so I'm trying to think, which other blind person do I know? And these people are far off. Like, they're not my close people, a neighbor or anything like that. They're far off. And then I lose my sight, and then I find a whole entire community of blind people, and I'm like, where have these people always been? Where are these people? How come people don't even know about this? Who are the friends of these people? And you realize that it is all based on the societal barriers that have been put up, because we still think of disability as a defect, as a barrier, as a burden, as a curse, as a bad thing. So people within the community who are with disability, they're not part and parcel of the community. There are those people over there that they really need a lot of help. So we are not going to allow them to even be in the photo. Like, if you look at all the books that we have read since childhood, you will never hear the main characters in the book. You'll never hear of, you'll never hear of the main character, or the main character being a person with disability. And if the firstborn child had a disability, they almost become a helper in the book. They're not the protagonist. They're just, a supporting, they play a supporting role to the main characters. And even in our pictures, in our billboards, everywhere, all the people that we get to see are never people with disability. They're always just every other non-disabled person. So when you experience a disability, especially acquired disability in your adulthood, the first feeling you feel is not hope. It's not a feeling of, oh, okay, this has happened, so we need to just get on moving with our lives. No, you feel distressed. You feel like, now where am I going to find people like me? So the first experience of fighting against being vulnerable with myself is the fear of my life falling apart, because I could not imagine any other way to live. I knew me as Eve. I've lived for 31 years in a certain way. I know I have my sense of style. I know the hair products that I use. I was a naturalista then. I had short hair. I had my kinyozi. I had the person who, if I want to dye my hair, I'd go to. I knew the places I like to go to, like buy shoes. I know the places that I like to buy my clothes, and I knew my sense of fashion. I knew what kind of music I listen to and where I can get it. I knew so many things about me, and I was so happy with me as I was. And now I am blind. And I'm like, So what am I supposed to do with this information? Does this mean I have to change my whole entire persona because it doesn't fit into the blind person that I've always been seeing? So I'm trying to put those two together and they were not meshing. So you almost feel, so for a period of time, I was I was withdrawn because I'm like, I don't know how to fit back into the society, because as I know myself, the Eve that I've always known myself to be, if I go out there, I don't know how to be, because people are going to expect me to act like the blind person that they know. Because now I'm thinking, like I said, there's no media representation of blind people or even persons with disability. So it will obviously resonate with me as a bad thing because it's not the thing that you get to see every day. When people are even putting billboards or even church, they never put the pastor or the other person with disability as in the church billboard. No, they don't put, no, you don't see people with disability in any billboards, any sort of media, unless it is a warrior story, unless it's a sympathy story. Oh, this child paints with their finger, with their toes. Oh, this person sells chicken and she's deaf. I'm like, so I'm thinking, we don't want to sell chicken. They don't paint. I don't even know how to paint. Even when I was sighted, I could not paint. So what are you telling me? So all these stories, you sit down and process this information, and you're trying to find, how am I going to fit into the society as I was as a blind person? Because I cannot see the Eve that I was and the Eve that is blind being one person. They kept coming in my brain as two separate entities. So being withdrawn for me was like my safe space, because I still get to keep the Eve that I've known. The spirit within me, I can be able to still shelve and, cover and protect this Eve from going outside and get attacked for being, how can you be this Eve? We only know blind people who beg. We only know blind people who are teachers. We only know blind people who do this. So who gives you permission to even be the Eve that you are? And I'm like, so now if I want to go shopping, I've never seen anyone shop like even with crutches, like they're just shopping in town and doing their own thing. I'm like, wow, what life is this now? So the fear of being vulnerable was, I did not even want to go outside and mingle with people, because I didn't feel like I was good enough, or like being disabled made me feel like I was a bad person. There was shame that came with the disability, because I'm not enough, I'm less than, because I've never seen anyone with disability who is like me, who thinks or even dresses or talks like me. I've never. So I'm wondering, where are these people? So with that, first I needed to overcome the fear that there is nothing wrong with me. This is a life experience, and I did not wish it upon myself, and I don't think anybody wishes themselves to be disabled. It just happens. It's a life experience. Let me give you an idea. So children are born, and then some children become tall and others they remain short, right? So imagine if every time you meet a tall person, you always say, oh, I'm so sorry you're tall. Oh, I'm so sorry you're tall, because you can see they're tall. So every time you tell them, I'm so sorry you're tall, what's going to happen within that community of people? They're going to think being tall is something wrong. So definitely that person, people who are tall, are either going to migrate to a place where they will find tall people like them, so that they can feel like they're part and parcel of the society. Or these tall people will hide because they don't want to be told sorry for being tall. And then also this person who's tall will wonder, how can I make myself short? Do I cut my legs? What do I do? How can I be able to become short like other people so that I fit in? So because no one wants to always put yourself out there and being vulnerable with everybody as, yes, I am tall and I'm proud. Before you get there, you're like, hey, because every person you meet, oh, I'm so sorry you're tall. Oh, I'm so sorry you're tall. Oh, I'm so sorry you're tall. So every time you're thinking, hey, there's something wrong with me. I need to stay away from people because I don't want to be told I'm sorry I'm tall again. So the first thing is first to overcome the shame that people impose on you, and first of all the shame of which you also impose on yourself, because first it's the your surrounding or the people who are next to you who keep reminding you that you're tall. So you need to first get acquainted with your tallness, and you're like, okay, fine, I am a tall person and there's nothing I can do about it. I did not ask to be tall. I didn't sign a contract to be tall. I'm just tall. That's the same thing with disability. Nobody ever signs up to be disabled. Nobody ever signs a contract somewhere and says, hey, you know what, I feel like I want to live my life as a deaf person because it seems like a cool idea. Or somebody says, somewhere along the way I feel like I need to get into an accident and start using wheelchairs because it seems like a really cool idea. Nope. It just happens. It happens to the best of us. So now having to overcome that fear, it's sitting down with yourself and trying to allow yourself to just accept this is my new life, this is my new normal, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with me being blind. There is no signed contract that I did at any one point in my life to sign up as a blind person. It just happened. So I can't feel shame. I need to get over the shame of feeling blind or being blind actually. I need to get over that shame because there is absolutely nothing wrong with me. So now when I was able to I had to start affirming myself over and over again, Eve, there is nothing wrong with you. There is absolutely nothing wrong with you for being blind. You can still maintain your same fashion sense. You can still maintain your same hairdo. You can do whatever you need to do or be able to achieve the goals that you want to achieve because the you inside is not blind. Your spirit is still perfect, just as it was. It's still Eve. The only thing that has changed is the physical attributes. So I had to go through that self-affirmation over and over again because I needed to remind myself who I am. And I am not, there's nothing wrong with me. And my physical attributes have changed, but my soul, my spirit is still the same. And after doing that, I found that I became much more stronger to be able to accept myself as a blind person. Like, it's not a shameful thing to say. Because sometimes you go to you go to a place and then you introduce yourself, you say, oh yeah, hi, I'm Eve, I'm blind. Don't say that. I'm like, why? There's nothing wrong with saying I'm blind, just the same way you can say, hey, I'm tall. And I'm just telling you, this is just me passing information to you so that you are able to know how to interact with me. I'm not saying it because I want you to see me differently. I just want you to know how, if you're passing something, just know I'm blind. I might not see what you're passing. So you need to inform me of what you're passing over to me. So when I say I'm blind, hey, I'm Eve, and I just wanted to let you know I'm blind, it's not because I want you to change your perception of me. I just want you to know how to interact with me so that if you're going, you tell me, oh yeah, Eve, I'm leaving. So the next seat will not have a person, just in case somebody would want to come and sit there. Or just letting me know so that now you know how to interact with me. It's not a moment of, oh my God, so now how do you want me to carry you? No. So having those positive affirmations towards myself and having to tell myself that there is absolutely nothing wrong with me being blind, and blindness is not a bad thing. It's not a distasteful thing. It's just a life experience. It's just a physical attribute that I now have that I probably did not have before. And then now the next thing is overcoming the public shame, the shame that is imposed on you by the society, because a lot of people look at disability as a bad thing. So you have to now overcome that, because the more they keep telling you, so sorry, oh so sorry for being like, oh so sorry, and you're like, why are you telling me sorry? The same way I explained. Do you tell tall people, I'm so sorry for your tall, oh so sorry for your tallness? Or do you tell somebody, oh my goodness, I'm so sorry that you have, you have a round face. Or, oh my God, your face is rectangular. I'm so sorry. Those nurses must have done damage to your face. I'm like, no, just let people be. And the more we overcome this, you're able to overcome the societal, the societal shame. You're able to now be build on you as a person, because you are realizing that these people, it's out of their ignorance, not my ignorance. Because you see, you had to go through that phase where you tell yourself, I am okay and I'm enough just as I am. There is absolutely nothing wrong with me for being blind. This is just a life experience, and this is just a physical attribute that I currently have, and I have to live with for the rest of my life. So after overcoming that personal journey, you're now able to overcome the societal also shame, because the society is ashamed or embarrassed on your behalf. So you find that sometimes you go to a place and people do not want to interact with you because, first of all, out of ignorance, they think that there's something wrong with you. Out of ignorance, some of them think that you're going to, what is it called? Kuambukiza. It's like you're going to spread the blindness also to them. Some of them, out of ignorance, they do not know how to deal with you and think that your whole entirety, your whole persona has changed because you've lost your sight. Therefore, it's the Eve that they knew died, and now this is a new Eve who was born in the midst of her lifetime, and now this is a blind person. So I don't know how to interact with you. And the more you now understand yourself, you understand that their issues, their ignorance is not your shame. Their ignorance is honestly not your shame. So they will say hurtful things, and they might even ghost you. They might ignore you. They might say things that probably don't make sense. But if you're able to just overcome that, you're able to just be vulnerable, and you're not afraid or even shy to step out in your glory as a blind person, because the blindness is just a physical attribute and a life experience that you're currently going through. It's almost like the same way I said, a tall person and a short person, they're both alive, they're both human beings, they're both growing, they're both doing their own things. So their tallness or shortness does not determine the kind of lives they're going to live, because it's really neither here nor there. So if somebody comes and approaches you and tells you, oh, I'm so sorry, you're short. I mean, why are you bothered about my height? It is mine. Why are you embarrassed on my behalf? Why are you worried on my behalf? Because out of their ignorance, they feel like when they say that to you, they're probably doing a service. They're probably doing a service to humanity by feeling bad for somebody else that they are not experiencing life like they are. So that's their own problem. And it's been a journey, honestly. And one of the things that has also affirmed my personal journey of living true to my vulnerability and just owning my blindness is reading books like this book is called The Body is Not an Apology. It actually opened up so many things, isms that I didn't even know of. I didn't even know that people who have they are discriminatory towards persons with disability. That action of being discriminatory towards persons with disability is called ableism. I was like, huh? Then she goes down to describe different ways of being an ableist. And I'm like, oh my goodness, I think I've been a culprit of this, because when you say, there's a way people say things, and they're like, when someone is saying, when they ask you, please get this for me, and then you can't find whatever they've asked you to look for, and then you ask, are you blind or something? So you see, whenever the blindness is being brought into conversation, it's brought out as a negative connotation. And whenever, let's say you're like talking to someone and then they probably did not hear what you were saying, you're like, are you deaf or something? It also brings out a negative connotation, like, why weren't you listening to me? So every time disability is being brought about in a conversation from a negative connotation, it always spurs out a very negative feeling towards the disability. Therefore, we are never going to accept that disability is part and parcel of our life experiences, because whenever it is brought about in our conversations, it's always from a negative perspective. It also said the way when people are different, because the body is not an apology, talks about different body types. So whenever somebody has a different body, we make fun of that person. And we can remember even when we were children, whenever one of us would probably get shaved, because when people had ringworms, you'd find that they would come to school, especially girls, would come to school shaved. And you're like, instead of, holding them with grace or, accommodating them and not necessarily making it a big deal, we would laugh at the girls, because you're like, hey, uko na mashilingi. And we make fun of those children and make fun. And even that day, the teacher will tell that child to sit at the very back of the class, because it is, you do not want to, what do you call it? You do not want to spread the ringworms to other people. So you find those are ways we promote ableism from a very tender age. And you also find that segregation, the way people are segregated, children are segregated within the school systems from very tender ages, they do not know how to interact and associate with persons with disability or children with disability, because when they're very young, blind children are taken to school for the blind, deaf children are taken for school for the deaf, autistic kids have their own schools, and there is very, very little integration even amongst family members who are with disability. You find that even going to religious sects, they are not accommodated. And if it is going to work, they are not accommodated. If it is going to school activities, they are left behind, or they are given menial roles to serve, so that we can just give ourselves accolades that, we involved them. But why wouldn't you want a child with disability to play? If it's football, why can't we create a football game that will include this child to also exercise their energy? That we're not giving them just the judge roles and just the watcher, the cheerleaders. Probably they also want to try and see if they can kick that ball. And if we form accommodative, we integrate these children, non-disabled and abled children, in such school settings, they will learn how to integrate with them even as adults, and will no longer have disability as a disgusting taste in our mouth. We'll have it as part and parcel of our community and our language and our conversations. Therefore, even when somebody says, because even you'll find in our conversations, people say, uko na umama, making it look like being a woman is a bad thing. And you're like, no, being a woman is a great thing. It is a beautiful thing. I was born a woman. There is absolutely nothing I can do about this situation. So don't use umama as a way to insult somebody else. So that is how we encourage ableism, by using like ableist word, like when you're using, are you deaf? Are you blind? Kweli we ni kipofu. Huoni vile nilikuwa na, like kweli huoni, we ni kipofu, wewe ni kiziwi. Mbona usikii kile nakuambia? Whenever you use it in only negative connotations in conversations, it becomes very hard for the society to accept you as a person. They only see your disability first. It's like, hey, I'm Eve, but you're blind. I'm like, it's neither here nor there, but I'm Eve. No, but you're blind. I'm like, yes, but I'm Eve, but you're blind. I don't think I can be able to see you any other way apart from blind. Eve comes later. So it becomes hard for you to be vulnerable with yourself and accept yourself for who you are if the society keeps reminding you that, but your blindness is a bad thing. But your blindness is the thing that's not going to help. We don't want you here. So this journey of being accepting my, being in my being vulnerable stopped becoming a distasteful thing, and it actually became my sense of strength when I embraced it. Like I said, I started with personal affirmations. Then I also now read books. I was talking about The Body is Not an Apology and how I understood ableism from a very basic point of view. I also read Visibility, Disability. It is by Alice Wong. She describes, there are so many essays written by various people with disability. And the more you see people speaking in their own voice, they're telling their story. No one is telling their story for them. People with deformed figure, they have physical deformity. They are able to say how they feel, how they want to express love, how they want to walk, how they want to go to school. Them saying their story, them telling their story, and not somebody else representing them. It's not their parent, it's not their sister, it's not their brother, it's not their teacher. It is that person with disability speaking their story. And for me, that was very powerful, because you get to hear the voice, you get to hear that story, and you see these people are human beings just like me and you and everybody else. There's also another book I read called Disability Pride. It also has different experiences and progressions that America has done over a number of years since the ADA was established in 1990, and that is the Act of Disability. It's the Disability Act. It was a Disability Act that was it was brought in. It was what did you call when something is law brings it into it becomes a policy? It's called what? I'm asking you guys. Gilbert, help.
Okay.
When law becomes policy, it's made as policy.
Not constitution. Is it constitution right?
Yeah, so the American Disability Act came into being. It was made a policy in 1990, and Disability Pride, as the book, described those progressions that America has made over a number of years till 2020. And when you read those stories, you realize that I'm not the only I'm not the only person with disability in this world. There are so many people, but there's been so much progress that has been made over a number of years, and I can be part and parcel of that progress. So when I hear someone saying, oh, so don't say you're blind, say you're visually impaired, I'm like, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with me saying I'm blind, because it is my experience. It is just a physical disability. It has nothing, it's neither here nor there. But now, with those affirmations from the books, and also just my own positive affirmations, I'm able to see myself as blind and not as there's nothing wrong with me for being who I am. Now, coming back into life as it is, there's so many experiences we do have as human beings. There are people who go through different adversities. It could be you could have an illness, you could have lost a loved one, you could have lost your job, you could have lost, you could even have lost a partner, and maybe you're going through divorce, or maybe you're going through any life adversity as it is. And a lot of people do not want to face. They don't want to be vulnerable with themselves, because they're like, if I am vulnerable, it means I'm accepting. And accepting means that I am accepting that I am less than in the society, because the society does not embrace difference. It doesn't embrace diversity. It only embraces the picture perfect that has been drawn, that template. Even for us to accept our bodies as we are, we've seen a lot of films, read a lot of books, and when they're describing a man, and why people have this issue of, we all want that tall, dark, handsome man, because from when we started reading Mills and Boons, we were always told the tall, dark, handsome man with a chiseled chest, and you're like, hey, that's the guy. When I grow up, that's the guy I want. But you keep meeting short men with pot bellies and beards everywhere. You're like, this guy was not described to me. This is not the guy. So this also puts into how we see people. When we see people are not the body types that we were described for, or we watched in our movies and listened to in our radio stories, we only see that person that was over and over again we were told in the stories. So when we see a short man, you're like, this is not it. And that guy is a human being, and he probably could love you just as well as the one that was described in the book. But brain was told one thing and you're receiving another. So it becomes even very, very hard for someone now, like, let's say even a divorcee. When someone becomes divorced, it's like, I don't know how to behave around you, because I feel like it's an illness. You might spread it to me, and then now I'll also end up getting divorced, and I don't think I want to be divorced. So there's just a very skewed way of how we look at life and look at each other as human beings. And because of that, we are not able to be vulnerable with ourselves. So even when something happens, we are not going to show up to the world as we are, like saying, okay, fine, me, I'm a divorcee, or I'm a single parent. Oh yeah, I lost my job the other day, but I'm looking for another one. Because if you say you lost your job, probably somebody knows a job somewhere that they know you'd be perfect for it. But because you've been hiding, you've lost your job, the shame you carry, the guilt you carry, you end up missing out on opportunities because you're not being vulnerable with yourself. You're feeling like being vulnerable is a weakness. People are going to see me as less than. People are not going to hold space for me. But for me, I would say my journey of finding strength in my vulnerability is that when I started accepting myself, people around me started accepting me. And the ones that didn't, that's on them. That's a them problem, not a me problem. So with time, the more I stepped out as, hey, I'm Eve. And even on Twitter, my name was the newly blind girl. And a lot of people would just nobody had a problem. The ones who wanted to interact with me interacted with me. The ones who didn't and they were ignorant, that was on them. In fact, other people would come at them and say, hey, this is not your place. Please get out of here. Get out of these comments. I wouldn't even have to fight those battles anymore. And whenever I go, I'm invited to speak or even be accommodated in different spaces. People already know I'm blind, and it's no longer an issue. It's like I'm inviting Eve because I like her energy. I'm inviting Eve because I like the way her sense of humor. I'm inviting Eve because I like who she is as a person. But if you don't accept you're not vulnerable with yourself, you keep hiding your true self from yourself and from others, people still will have the prejudice and bias, and all you keep attracting is that the people who are ashamed of you the way you are ashamed of yourself. So it starts with you first. It starts with how you affirm yourself is how people will affirm you. Those are the people you're going to recognize. Because what happens with your brain is that it recognizes familiarity. So if, let's say, for example, you like red as a color. So whenever you step into any market or any place or any building, you're going to easily notice red things. You're going to notice a red a person with a red dress. You're going to notice a red notebook. You're going to notice a red pen, because that is what you're familiar with and that is what you like. So if you are if you box yourself into a certain liking or a certain thing, you'll only notice the things that you're familiar with. So if you're boxing yourself in negative affirmations, and I'm not worthy, I don't like who I am, I don't like myself as a blind person, people will eventually not, the people who you are attracted to or the ones who you see are familiar are the ones who treat you the way you treat yourself. So even when you step out and you see somebody is, they're treating you in a certain way, you'll definitely think that's the only truth, because that's how you think of yourself. But for me, because I accepted that I am blind and that's who I am, it's my life experience, it is also my physical attribute at them, and this is what I'll live with for the rest of my life. It's no longer an issue, it's just a thing. It's like part of me. I can't remove it from me. It's just me this is part and parcel of who I am. Yeah. So when I step out, I'm not ashamed. I'm very confident. In fact, I'll make even a joke. I'm like, hey, please don't put things everywhere because me, I will not see them. I'll go kicking them out. So don't blame me if your thing is kicked. And the people start accepting me because I'm attracting who I believe I am. So I'll start noticing people who like me, who accommodate me, who show grace, who offer me space. And the ones that don't, I repel from them. I'll find myself, I don't like that atmosphere. I don't want people who will make me feel bad about me for being blind. So even for you, if you're going through any life adversity, first tell yourself or affirm yourself positively. Work on yourself. Read as much as you can, because when you read, it opens up your mind to a bigger universe than just the one you're currently experiencing. You get to know about other people in other worlds, in other spaces, continents, living the life that you think it's only you who's experiencing it. I mean, you're the one who's going through a divorce, but there's so many other people who've been divorced as well. You could probably now know, oh, okay, I understand. Oh my goodness, this is happening. And you start affirming yourself positively. It opens up your mind to a bigger world and will attract you to people who treat you the way you treat yourself. So please, if you treat yourself with kindness, you'll attract and be attracted to people who will treat you with kindness, because that's the way you treat yourself. If you are biased towards yourself, you're hateful towards yourself, you're ashamed of who you are as a person, you'll now start seeing only the people who are ashamed of you the way you're ashamed of yourself. So work on yourself and find strength in your vulnerability no matter what adversity you're going through. And definitely life will become much easier. And you'll find that there's a bigger universe than the people you've been attracted to. Maybe you've been attracted to people who are biased, but you'll start finding people who love you and are kind to you first when you are kind to yourself. So if you resonate with this episode, please send us write a comment, share with us your experience, and I hope that you find growth and you find a place of synergy with this episode. And please remember to share with your peoples, and also just share. Maybe if somebody is going through a different adversity and they want to find strength in their vulnerability. Share this with them and encourage them. Yeah, and also subscribe if you're new to this channel, and turn on the notification button so that whenever we upload an episode, you'll be first to know. And we do have very interesting merchandise. We have very cute t-shirts. This one is Sina Maoni. So yeah, you can get it. WhatsApp us on the number below and make your order. Otherwise, it was really lovely having you here, having you in my space, and hope to have you next time. Do have a lovely day, week, month, and see you next time. Bye.